Whether you're gathering with friends or family for Thanksgiving, the holiday can be a lot of fun, but it can also be stressful to prepare for activities and difficult to navigate some of those relationships. Dr. Holly MacKenna with Dara Wellness joins us now with some tips. We were talking during the commercial break, during NACONDRA's forecast. This is such an interesting conversation because oftentimes it does take a lot of preparation, mental preparation, before going into an event where you're surrounded by people you might not associate with that often.
Right. I mean, this is a typical holiday where you're seeing people maybe once or twice a year, and you have to navigate that. I always say self-care is the best care. Like, as we were saying, like, I wouldn't go in hangry. I am one that gets hangry quite easily, as my friends and family can tell you.
I love that you brought up hanger because it's a real thing.
It's true. You really want to make sure that you're sleeping well, spending some time outside, and feeding yourself.
Yeah.
It's so tempting when you have a big meal coming to fast, but your brain actually feels that you're starving it, and it goes into that fight or flight, and then you're not going to behave in a way that you're proud of.
And how much better would it be for you to walk into someone's home, you know, a little happier with something in your stomach versus I just want to eat, I'm so irritated.
Right, so make that charcuterie board they showed the earlier hour, and bring it with you if you're worried that they're going to have what you need when you're waiting for that meal.
I love that tip. So let's talk about maybe some family members that you might not see eye to eye with, or maybe it's just uncomfortable to be around. How do you navigate that?
Yes, it's important to go in and have some planning ahead of time, have some goals. Decide what's important to you. Is it keeping that relationship intact? Like, do you want to make sure grandma's happy? Or is it that you want to keep your self-respect? Mm-hmm. Is it that you have a certain outcome that you'd like? And remember, these are people you see once or twice a year, so the outcome may not be what you would like it to be.
Right.
But kind of keep that in mind. Then you can go in with a purpose and more mindfully interact with them, more intentionally interact, rather than just have that same conversation come up once again and repeat yourself once again and be frustrated and
make Santa's naughty list from the other family members.
I mean, it's a reason it's there, right?
Yeah, right. So what are some tips that we can, maybe keep in mind to navigate those kind of conversations? Are there things we can say to be like, to get out of the conversation or de-escalate things?
Right. It's important to, when you're stating something, if it's something that is difficult for you, to just state the facts. It's so easy to get emotional. So if you are trying to talk about something difficult and you feel like Thanksgiving dinner is the place to do it, it may not be, but if that's what happens, just stating the facts, stating how it affects you, what the consequences may be if things don't go a certain way. And then allowing for some negotiation. See, this is where it gets tricky. Like, you're not always going to get the outcome that you'd like. But especially if the relationship is important to you, you have to allow for some back and forth and allow for yourself to hear the other person. And if it turns into one of those situations where this is just one of those conversations, have some backup topics like, what's your favorite side dish? You can pivot the talk to complimenting whatever they brought, whether or not you tried it and like it, but that might be a way to pivot the conversation.
Right, or talk about the cute nieces and nephews at the gathering, or play some music.
Absolutely, right? And then if it's, you have to also remember you can only control your own behavior.
Right.
And so if you see an interaction between two other people, remember it's between them. I mean, obviously, you want to maybe step in if you feel like it's going over the line, but generally speaking, if they need to sort something out, they're the ones that need to sort it out. It's also great if something is going south to cut that momentum, and that might be, like we talked about, going and turning on some music and having like an impromptu dance party, stepping outside for yourself. If you can step either outside for a walk or say, hey, I just got to run to the restroom real quick, do some quick breathing.
Take your time,
Right? Like, just do some quick inhale, exhale. It doesn't have to be anything fancy.
And know that it's temporary.
It's totally temporary, and that change in momentum often can shift things into, let's talk about what our favorite Christmas movies are that are coming up.
Love that.
And go in that direction instead.
All good advice. Dr. Holly MacKenna, thank you so much for being here. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
You too.
Thank you.
You.
Well, if you're